Hello, it's Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com. And the Slimline cards have been seen out for a while now, and I've been wanting to try to learn how to make some of those. And I also wanted to share with my in-person class the Emboss Resist technique. And so I have a couple of different ways of doing this, and mainly it's starting with an embossing powder. I hope that you can see the embossing powder there. This one was done in silver, and then I added color just kind of around sporadically, and I went ahead and did the whole thing. You could do just, kind of stripes or whatever, or any other direction you want, or you can do more like this one and use a dauber to be able to get the effect. And this one was with the black embossing powder. And then these cards, the person that I got the idea from was Manda Moore, and she had also had an envelope to be able to make our own envelopes. I did want to bring out that Stampin' Up! Has some Slimline envelopes in the January to June 2022 catalog, and they come in like a smoky slate, a white, and then a soft succulent color, and these would be great to use as well. So let's get over to being able to work with our work with the papers, and I'll get you the dimensions. Also, you will be able to find the dimensions of these on my blog at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. I hope that you'll visit my blog and be able to find other videos that I have put out as well. And if this is your first time to my YouTube channel, I do share paper crafting, and I do have several videos on my channel to be able to share with you. And if you like what you see and would like to be able to be notified when I'm uploading a new video, then you would need to subscribe to my channel and then hit the bell icon so that you could be notified when I upload a new video. And I hope that you will share it with others that you may want to. I do have I think I need to cut down my white one. Anyway, I do have a smaller white, basic white cardstock that is 8 by 3. Oh, that's where it goes. And then I have a larger white, basic white cardstock that is 8 1/4 by 3 1/4, and this is going to go on the inside of the card base. There's also a layer of black cardstock that is 8 1/4 by 3, and that's what we're going to layer this little one on. The card base is 8 1/2 by 7, and then you score this in portrait or along the short side at 3 1/2, and then you'll fold that, and that makes the card base. And make sure that you use your bone folder so that you get a good crisp edge on that crease. Now, I do have a couple of strips of in case you want, in my class I gave them an option of the gray or the black, and this is 3 inches by 1 inch, and it goes into the Lovely Labels, Pick a Punch. There are a couple of different ones, and you're able to punch the end of that, and I'm going to choose the black label. And so I'm going to put that, it's graduated from 1 to 3/4 to 1/2 inch. so that you can have whichever size label that you'd like. And I'm going to push that all the way up in there. And then I turn it around on the back side so that I can make sure that I get that even. And then I just punch that piece off and pull it out. And then I have a nice little end on the label. And this piece is going to be embossed, as well as this smaller white cardstock piece. And so let me set these aside. Also, the envelope that she shared starts out with an 8.5 by 11 designer series paper, or you can make it just out of plain cardstock, whichever you want. If you are going to be using a designer series paper, you will need to use some labels, white labels on them, to be able to write your addresses for the card. So let me set those aside and pull these back here. I am using, before I get too far, the Blessings of Home stamp set with both of the images. And then I'm using the Lovely You. I really like this just because for that, from that stamp set. This has that punch in the regular catalog that goes with it, and the sayings all fit in with that, within that 1-inch piece. So let me move those out of the way. And I just really like the way that I get a good stamp with the Stampin' Pierce mat underneath this. Now, one thing that I would recommend is to use an Embossing Buddy. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this anymore, but you can get it from many of the craft stores, or even Amazon. Be able to use that. It basically will wash out, or this powder sticks to any kinds of oils that are from your hands or from any other thing that it may have touched, and it kind of creates a blank slate for you to be able to use. And so I will be using Versamark ink, because it is a very good watermark stamp ink to use when you are embossing, because it stays wet longer. So I'm going to use the large floral stamp, and in order to make sure that I get a good inked image, I'm going to apply the stamp head to the stamp so that I can see that it's gotten everywhere. And then I'm just going to turn this over and kind of apply this where I'd like, kind of on the left hand side, so that my saying can go over here on the right hand side. You want to make sure it makes good contact, which is why I use the Stampin' Pierce mat underneath it. And then maybe you can see that watermark image, but it stays that way. I just bring in the black embossing powder and just get it, spread it liberally, sprinkle it liberally all over where the image might have been. And then you can take and dump that off, and then tap it to make sure that you get the powder off of the other side. If there's a few pieces you might want to, and I didn't of course bring my my paintbrush over here. It's not going to hurt to have a few pieces. And then I just pour this back into the little tub for the embossing powder. And close that up. Move everything out of the way. Now, you need to get the embossing powder onto there fairly quickly. However, once you have the embossing powder on it, it can sit around a little bit for you to get it heat set. And since I don't want to have the embossing or the heat tool going, I'm going to go ahead, and you do the same thing with the label, but I wanted to save some time and be able to get this stuff over here. So I think this one I went ahead and took from the Blessings of Home stamp set. I did. So there is a thank you for inspiring me, and there's several others that you could use. And so I wanted to show on the piece for the inside, the larger white piece, I did just stamp this in black, Memento Black ink for the smaller flower. You can color it if you want to, but you don't have to. And that one will go on the inside. Then this is the piece that you will do the Emboss Resist. And there are many things that can be used for these. There's the blending brushes, which are really nice to use for coloring, but it's mainly for broad strokes instead of smaller strokes. There are these sponges that Stampin' Up! Sells. They come in a circle, and then I cut mine in half, and then each half I cut into thirds, and I create a little label and mark the color that it is so that I don't have to rinse those out and reuse them that way. And then there's also the daubers. So you can have these all around. So this one, I think I forgot to take out the ones I was needing. Calypso Coral, and I don't think I have a Granny Apple Green yet. And this is something else that I do is I store these in here. Eventually, I should have done it from before. I cut a piece of paper that fits inside this lid, and I make the number of squares that I need to for all these, and then I'll write the name of the color there. But I also have a gold marking pen, like a Sharpie, and I do write the color on those so that I will always know what that color is. And again, I don't have to wash them out and reuse them for other things. I just keep the colors the way I want them. So I'm going to use Granny Apple Green, Calypso Coral, and I thought I got Mango Melody. Hold on. Now I do. Oh, dropping things. So I'm going to color with the daubers. That was the coloring scheme that I thought would be really pretty with this. And so I'm going to start with Calypso Coral. And you just want to daub that onto the ink pad, and then you're going to kind of smooth it onto the grid paper. You don't want to start over here because you'll get that really dark mark, I guess you call it, from the dauber, and it'll look like a big circle. And so I just add color as I need it, again wiping off, and then coloring in. I'm just kind of coloring the flower petals. And then there's another big one down here. So adding some color there. And I also want to add the mango melody to the center of the flowers, as well as color the smaller flowers that way. And just add the color where you want it. You can also just do general coloring all over, and that would look pretty as well. Get this done. Now, when you are heat setting the embossing powder, there is a thing that I did learn, that if you hold it too long in a certain area, it after it's already turned kind of a glossy color, if you hold it longer, it can actually flatten out and not be as glossy, kind of flattens out the color and everything. So I just wanted to warn you guys so that you wouldn't do the same thing that I had done. It's kind of how we learn from doing it the wrong way, but I hate for you to have to experience that. And then I'm going to use some Granny Apple Green for my leaves. Just to add some greenery in here, and put this away. After you've done your blending, whether it's a brush or daubers or the sponges or whatever, then you're going to want to take either a paper towel or a Kleenex or something like that, and you're just going to rub over the embossed area. And what that does is it takes the color off of the embossing powder and helps it to just kind of shine through. So I hope that you can see that embossed image kind of pops again. So move these out of the way, bring everything back in, and we can kind of put this together real quick. So going to add the white layer onto the black layer first. And I use the Stampin' Seal Plus the majority of the time because it comes off fairly easy on the roll. And then if it goes over, you just kind of fold it back, and it has kind of little slit lines. I don't know what else to call them. Okay. And this one is a very permanent adhesive, so if you're going to use it, just know that you need to make sure that you get this where you want it before you put it down. So I kind of measure out the borders with eyeballing it, and then I put it down. Sometimes you hit it exact and sometimes you don't. And then I'm going to take this one and adhere it inside. Okay. And this one is where you could also add a sentiment to your card. There we go. And I'll put this on top. I just don't like my fronts coming off, and so I like to get the adhesive fairly close to the edge, and then if it goes over, I just kind of fold it. And I'm going to adhere this, again leaving a border around the outside edge. Put that on, and then I'm going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on this label to pop it up. And I also used some black thread. I still have some that's Stampin' Up! Had. And you just kind of wind it around a few times. And then what I did behind where I'm going to put the label over here on this side, I just added some of the adhesive, and then I just kind of put the ends down where I want them. There's another one here. I kind of, I don't know, futz or whatever you want to call it, play with it a little and get these kind of coming from all directions. And then I'm just going to take off the backings for this. And I put it up right against the end of the white and over these threads. And there's that part. I also wanted to share, and I don't know what I did with them. Well, I was going to share some what I did with them. Well, you could add some sequins or some pearls or rhinestones, or the Stampin' Up! Has some new brass butterflies that would be really cute with this. So I'm gonna put all that over there, and then we're gonna go ahead and work with the envelope. And this is if you don't want to buy the ones from Stampin' Up! Or you'd like to be able to create a fun envelope with designer series paper. I preferred to have less busyness on the outside, and so on this you have the 8.5 by 11 that I had cut it down into. This was a 12 by 12 piece, and so you're going to score this. Let me move some more things out of my way so that I can open up my trimmer, be able to measure out further. So I hope that I'm still in the frame. So we're going to go with, this is in landscape, so that's the 11-inch part across the top, and I'm going to measure this up to 1.5, and I'm just going to score at that place. And score lightly. If you go in and you're trying to score like it's cardstock, you will end up tearing your paper. And then I'm going to go down to 10.5, which creates a smaller end for the bottom flap. You can go a couple of times, but you just want to make sure that they're not going to be too harsh. So then you're going to put it in portrait. With this is the 8.5 side up at the top, and we're going to score at 2.5. That's the lighter blade on the trimmer, and 6.5. Okay, don't think that's right. Oh, if you don't line it up in the wrong place. So 6.5. I had to read my directions and look at my trimmer again. Okay, now I'm going to put this aside. And you might want to go ahead and fold and you can feel it where those score lines are. Go ahead and fold it over and go with your fingers, and then find the next score line. And then the next one, you just feel, and you'll be able to feel where that score line is. Another one here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all 4 of these outside squares or rectangles, whatever. And you're going to want to cut so that you're toward the flap on that side of the score line, so that it's not too long when it folds up. So just when you see that score line, just go on the inside of it toward the flap, and you'll go up to that next score line. And then this one is the inside flap, so we're going to go ahead and cut to the inside of the score line toward that. Missed a little bit up here. And then take that piece off. And you'll just repeat that all the way around. And these were really cute envelopes. We used these to make the envelopes for the Slimline card at the in-person class last week. And one more square over here to the inside where the flap is. And again on the inside. So something else you may want to do is on this bottom flap is go ahead and make a little small wedge so that it doesn't get caught up against this flap. And I'm going to do the same thing on this end. Just a little wedge. And then you may want to go ahead and do it on these as well, but I'm going to wait because what you're going to do is take your corner rounder, and the one that Stampin' Up! Has, there's 3 sides to it, and this one here that shows the rounded corner is the one we're going to use. And you push that up in there all the way so that these 2 sides touch those guides right in there. And then you just push down and you end up with a rounded corner. And so that's why I didn't want to do those wedges, because it makes it kind of pretty that way. And then do this on all 4 of these side tabs, and then you can go ahead and do it on the fold over flap that we're going to have. So it's just like that. That one didn't get in very well. Okay. Then I'm going to bring out another one here. I took tear and tape and I placed tear and tape on this side that's going to fold over the end. And I took tear and tape. One of these is shorter than the other, and so this one has a little bit of length that it's going to fold over and catch the top of this piece here. So this one's going to fold in, so you're going to put tear and tape here, and then I put a piece of tear and tape here. The only ones we're going to do right now for folding up is we're going to take this one off the side, fold that little one in, and then fold the longer one over and adhere that. Then we're going to take the backing off of this tear and tape at the short end, and we're going to fold that down. Now you can put your card inside the envelope, and when you get ready to send it, you will tear that backing off and then adhere it here. But like I said, you'll probably need to get some white labels to be able to put on this so that you can write your addresses before you actually mail it and stick it together. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you will give it a try. And also check over on my blog for the the measurements for the pieces that you'll need for the card. And I'll have pictures over there as well. So please check this my blog out, and like the video and share it with those that you think might enjoy it. And also, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to know when I upload a video. Thank you.